Hello and welcome to episode 319 of Touring the AFC South. In this episode, we will be previewing the Super Bowl. Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. It comes down to these two teams in New Orleans. One game, one champion for all the marbles. We're going to get into that breakdown of this game in a few minutes. We'll get into that breakdown. But up first, of course, I do have to give you a few AFC South notes and just a few commentary on that one as well. Of course, got to keep it, a little bit AFC South in this episode as well. The first note, of course, Bobby Slowick was fired as the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, and many wondered what direction the Houston Texans would go in, being that they were an incredible team. Did incredibly well the first year of DeMeco Ryans' tenure. Led by C.J. Stroud and that offense, and just whatever he was able to create defensively. This year, expectations were higher. They went to the playoffs, but it just seems like kind of a little bit of a disappointment in how they played in some aspects. So Bobby Slowick was fired. So the expectation is high for this team going into next season, based off of the things that C.J. Stroud did his rookie season, and then kind of, I guess, the bar being raised from there with all the defensive players they brought in, the emergence of Stingley at, corner and being one of the, quite frankly, one of the top corners in the NFL at this point. So, everyone wondered offensively, with the issues they had offensively last season, offensive line, things like that, and the injuries, of course, what they would do to replace Bobby Slowick. Right? And, honestly, I was kind of shocked with the answer. They went and got Rams passing game coordinator Nick Caley. Now, the 42-year-old Caley is, considered a rising star in the coaching circuit. This is his first offensive coordinator position. I definitely got to say I was a little befuddled by this, because I thought with the team that is, the expectation and the bar is being set even higher, with the, what some consider disappointment this season, I thought they would go get a veteran offensive coordinator. Now, I know people saw Chip Kelly, former Eagles coach and former 49ers head coach, and of course, former University of Oregon head coach. He actually left Ohio State, where he was the offensive coordinator last season, to go be the Raiders offensive coordinator next year in Las Vegas. I thought he might be a guy that they would go after, but unfortunately that didn't happen there. And, I guess kind of random, maybe I thought maybe a Doug Peterson perhaps would come there. I mean, I would say he's not necessarily been, he's definitely a guy that sticks to his guns and things like that. And he's, he made some good things happen. However, he's definitely had his downfalls in terms of different things in the Eagles and Jaguars organizations. So, I thought they would maybe go with a veteran guy as the offensive coordinator. Plus, Doug Peterson get back at his old team. That would be interesting as well. That would just put more vitriol in the Jaguars-Texans rivalry. That's kind of emerging a little bit here. But neither one they go with. They bring in Caley. Again, I mentioned 42-year-old, not 42-year-old coach and a rising star for the, and just in the coaching circuit and, things like that. The positive thing, or one thing that's interesting, is he comes from the same tree that Bobby Slowick came from, that Shanahan McVay tree. So it's going to be interesting just to see what different nuances he brings to the offensive side of the ball that are different than Bobby Slowick, and just what different things he does, because they're essentially coming from the same coaching tree. So, we'll see what happens, but that was an interesting hire, in my opinion. Another guy that is actually trying to hire his staff this offseason is first-time head coach in Jacksonville, Liam Cohen. Now, of course, much has been made about the saga between Cohen, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, some Tampa Bay fans not liking it, the way the process went. But hey, that's either here nor there at this point. He's the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But he's filling out his staff, and I wondered where he would go for an offensive coordinator. And he actually went to Minnesota and brought in assistant offensive coordinator and assistant QB coach. That would be, what is his name? Let's see. His name is Grant Udinski. Grant Udinski. It's basically, you're bringing in a guy that really hasn't called any plays or anything like that for, Trevor Lawrence, essentially. Now, people have given, different reasons why Trevor Lawrence hasn't reached his potential, or the can't miss prospect, or the generational QB that people said that he was when he first entered the NFL. Now, of course, he did have Urban Meyer's first year, and I get that one. Doug Peterson, it looked like things were going to get going, and it took a sharp left turn and a sharp right, and just kind of went all over the place a little bit there with the ups and downs that Trevor Lawrence has had. They're hoping, I guess, with this third offensive coordinator, that maybe things kind of turn around just a little bit to give the consistency. That's the biggest thing that has been missing from Trevor Lawrence: consistency. He's had some great moments. He's had some bad ones too. Now, to be fair, sometimes the receivers do drop the football, but it's not solely on the wide receivers why Trevor Lawrence has not been successful. And it's going to be interesting just to see with a new offensive coordinator, like I said, hasn't called plays before. It's going to be interesting to see how he meshes and how he tries to work with Trevor Lawrence, how much Liam Cohen is actually involved in it. Of course, last year, just to give a little bit of a backstory, Doug Peterson was originally kind of more involved in the offense when he first was the head coach of Jacksonville. Then he kind of backed off to let Press Taylor do it and wouldn't step in when some thought he should step in when the offense wasn't looking like they thought it should. However, he didn't. We'll see just how much Liam Cohen gives, how much space Liam Cohen gives his new offensive coordinator, and how much he is involved as well. All right. Just had to hit those few AFC South notes, but of course we're going to talk some Super Bowl. Now the buzz is all, still there, but all the practicing, all the media sessions, and all those different things are over. It's game time. Sunday night, New Orleans, Louisiana, Superdome, Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs. We got the Philadelphia Eagles trying to get some get back from a couple years ago in Los Angeles, where they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, who are going for a three-peat. Yes, a three-peat in the NFL. It's never happened before. Could happen with the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to begin to break down that game and more when we come back from this commercial break on Touring the AFC South.
EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash are two of the best beard grooming products for men worldwide. They help promote growth, keep your beard moisturized and soft, and enhance your overall upkeep of your facial hair. And with the new promo code MPAFC10, you can get 10% off of these products. Just go to www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. Again, that's www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. And again, the promo code MPAFC10. Again, MPAFC10, where you can get 10% off any products except for beard boxes. So treat your beard better today by going to get this EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash.
All right, and we're back on Touring the AFC South, episode 319, the Big Bad Super Bowl breakdown. Now, let's see. We're going to go into the breakdown of the games. Of course, we're going to talk about the offense versus defense, things like that. But I'm going to get into just this game from the Kansas City Chiefs perspective. Like I mentioned, they're going for a three-peat. They're going for a three-peat. It's going to be interesting just to see what all happens, what all they can do, and what all things the Kansas City Chiefs are going to face in this game. Of course, this season, a lot of people had their doubts about Kansas City because they weren't necessarily winning pretty. If you watch their games, the offense hasn't necessarily been as explosive as you're used to seeing from Kansas City Chiefs. The defense, now it's definitely been impressive with, of course, Steve Spagnuolo calling the plays and dialing up things at just the right time over there with the weapons that he has. So that has been something to watch and keep up with, and seeing how they've been doing. Now, as far as offensively, some thought they would figure it out, some thought they wouldn't, and just at this point, they just have not figured it out all the way. But still done everything they needed to do to make it back to this opportunity to win the Super Bowl a third time in a row. Now, of course, going in this game, they're going against a very physical Eagles defense led by Mr. Jalen Carter up front. So that's going to be something that's going to be watched and see how they're able to kind of defend him, because, of course, one of the guys that would usually be, trying to block him, Joe Thuney, is out at tackle now. And now, that's something that's been a sore spot for the Kansas City Chiefs pretty much the entire season. You've got Caliendo that you slide in at right guard. Or you slide in at guard, basically, and he's probably going to, or potentially could see Jalen Carter and some of those big guys inside from, most of them from the University of Georgia. But it's just going to be interesting just to see what they're able to do. I know they're going to probably chip and give some help to Joe Thuney out there at tackle. But it's just going to be interesting. Of course, you've got Caliendo inside versus those Eagles physical tackles. And if he's not able to handle those things, it's going to be interesting just to see how effective or ineffective the Kansas City Chiefs are running the football. Now, in this game, the Kansas City Chiefs will need to run the football some. And then running the football some, it's going to be interesting just to see, whether they're going to try to hit the edges, whether they're going to try to run the gut, what all they're going to do, because I believe that running game is going to be very, very key for them, with the Pacheco and a Kareem Hunt there. Of course, flipping it over to one other thing, the wide receivers, you've got DeAndre Hopkins, you've got a Hollywood Brown, you got Xavier Worthy. Now, Xavier Worthy is more of a gadget guy at this point, swing passes, reverses, all those different things. You got Hollywood Brown, can run some routes, hasn't necessarily popped off the screen like they probably thought he would or should at this point, but, he's been injured for most of the season. So, that connection does take time and things like that. And then you have DeAndre Hopkins. Now, he is a veteran wide receiver, and he had spoke this week about how he kind of lost the love of the game a little bit playing with the Tennessee Titans, and probably, had that fire restoked when, you go to a team that's winning and things like that. But in this game, for them to be effective offensively, I think DeAndre Hopkins has to be more effective and, more sought after in terms of targets. We know Travis Kelce is a security blanket for Patrick Mahomes, but they do need DeAndre Hopkins to at least give them maybe 4 to 5 catches in this game and be more of a viable threat than he has been in the playoffs so far. If he is that, Hollywood Brown sprinkled in with Xavier Worthy, that makes things a little bit easier for Patrick Mahomes instead of, teams focusing on taking Travis Kelce away and then working from there. Definitely it'd be interesting. And of course, not only do they have to count for Jalen Carter, they do have to count for Zach Bond as well. The special teams guy turned all pro in the NFL this past season. I thought that was a great story about how he became, an all pro from being a special teams guy brought into the Eagles. So that'll be interesting to watch as well. Of course, the secondary for the Chiefs, they'll probably be tested a little bit, but so will that offensive line, that defensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs. You have Chris Jones, you have Karlaftis in there, but they're going to have to hold up in the running game with one of the best offensive lines in the NFL in Saquon Barkley. Yes, Saquon Barkley has been running roughshod over the NFL for a majority of the season. Honestly, he could have probably broke the record if he played in the last game, but he didn't. It is what it is at that point. But it's just going to be interesting just to see what they're able to do. They're going to have to stand up to the Eagles' offensive line and put them in down the distances that make them uncomfortable, like maybe a 3rd and an 8 or something of that nature. And that starts with stopping the run. And of course, you can't allow the Eagles wide receivers to kind of get going either, because, although some may clown the Eagles passing game, they do have very, very much two bona fide wide receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Those two guys can be very, very dangerous. And of course, Dallas Goedert can too at tight end. So, don't give them anything easy, but also, stop the run, things like that. But don't necessarily, think that they can't hurt you in the passing game, because of course, yes, the Eagles can hurt you in the passing game, despite what anyone would think about Jalen Hurts at all, because, some of that is just, people talking and running the gumps, to be honest. So it'll be interesting just to see that part. Yeah, definitely. Just if you keep a note, the Kansas City Chiefs running the football is going to be important, staying on schedule. One of the wide receivers has to step up, along with, of course, Travis Kelce being the security blanket. Defensively, they have to stop the run, put the Eagles in uncomfortable positions. And also in this game, they will need to, don't give them anything easy in the passing game, to be honest. That will hurt if you give them something easy in the passing game, because of course at that point Jalen Hurts will start gaining confidence, and and from there you don't know what else could happen. And then if you get an Eagles team that's running the football and throwing the football well, boy oh boy, that could be truly, truly scary. We're gonna talk a little bit more about this team and this game, and but we're gonna flip it over to the Eagles. But first, we're gonna take a quick commercial break on Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co, or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business. All right, we are back on Touring the AFC South, breaking down the Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I gave you what I thought from the Kansas City Chiefs side of this equation, but I do also have to give you the equation from the Philadelphia Eagles side. Now, there are a lot of Eagle fans that I know, and I know they are very hype about this game. They believe that they can be the one to take down the Kansas City Chiefs in the big game. It's only been done one time in the Patrick Mahomes era. That would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But in that mode of saying that, they're going to have to, their season, I would say, before I get into the breakdown, their season has been interesting. They, some people wondered about this, all the changes on offense and defense with new coordinators on both sides of the ball and what they could do. They had to make those changes because the offensive coordinators last season, quite frankly, weren't up to snuff. So it took a little minute for the defense to adjust to Vic Fangio, but once they adjusted, they definitely did their thing, and they were out there, basically, just putting tremendous pressure from inside out. The linebacker, Zach Vaughn, turned into a machine. You've got a rookie at one corner, and you've got Slay at the other corner, and you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson at the safety spot. So I would say, throw a Cooper DeJean in there as well. You got some young guys and some veteran guys that were doing their thing for this defense and made them one of the best defenses in the NFL this season. Flip it on the other side, you have one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL with Saquon Barkley. I mean, Saquon Barkley was doing a lot of things in the Giant land on his own. Then offseason came, he gets signed by the Philadelphia Eagles, and boy, oh boy, as soon as it happened, I was like, as soon as he got signed there, I was like, yeah, he's going to have one incredible season, and he surely did. It's almost like I was prophetic in that point. But yeah, the Eagles, of course, they do what they have to do to win games. They just do what they have to do to win games. It isn't necessarily a great, um, math problem as to why they win games or some kind of equation. Just they do what they have to do. It isn't going to be pretty all the time. Now, I will say the AFC Championship game for Eagles fans was very pretty. They blew out the Washington Commanders. But, usually in their games this year, they do what they have to do to win games, whether it's win by 5, 3, 2, whatever. They do what they have to do to win games, albeit some don't think it's pretty, which, honestly, a W is a W, and you figure the rest out on the way. That's the way I think. But anyway, they're here in the Super Bowl, and there are some that are giving them a really, really good chance, and there are others that not giving them a great chance at all. But one thing I will say, offensively, if they're going to have a chance, stay on schedule. Give the ball to Saquon Barkley. He needs 25 plus touches in this game, whether it's running, throwing screens to him, whatever it's going to be. He needs 25 plus touches in this game because when he touches the football for them, great things happen. If I'm the Chiefs, I've got to either stuff the run or find a way. Nick Bolton, yes, you need to go find Mr. Saquon Barkley. So that'll be interesting to see how they match up and how the Chiefs kind of, mix a few things. Steve Spagnuolo, one of the great defensive minds right now in the NFL, definitely is going to be interesting just to see how he makes adjustments, and maybe he calls a blitz at the right time like he usually does in these games against he holds one in his back pocket until the fourth quarter when he really, really needs it, which, man, it's pretty amazing to watch, what he's done. And then also, of course, with the Eagles as well, I know the running game is going to be key, but the biggest thing to me is get some easy throws for Jalen Hurts early. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Chiefs are going to be focused on stopping the running game, so that's probably going to leave some throws open for Jalen Hurts to kind of throw and get some confidence. And if he's able to get confidence early in the game, that will allow his confidence to grow as the game goes on. So when those windows get a little bit tighter, he's got the confidence that he can make those things work, or, do what he needs to do to make it happen. That'll be a key thing in this game. I think Dallas Goedert will have some chances to make some plays in this game because I know they cannot guard them all. You got Devontae Smith, you've got AJ Brown on the opposite sides. They can't guard them all, and I think Dallas Goedert is a guy that can make some plays, and I think he will make some plays in this game. The offensive line, I mean, that's going to be the trenches is going to be a huge battle. Chris Jones, do they single him up against somebody? Do they kind of, pass him along the line? He's going to make some plays. I mean, he is Chris Jones. He's the best defensive tackle right now, I believe, in the NFL. But, they also do move him outside and put him against tackles. It'd be interesting to see him versus Lane Johnson, perhaps, or just if they flip him over against the other side. But I will say, Mekhi Becton is a big dude in there in the trenches. So it'll be interesting if Mekhi Becton faces off against Chris Jones in the trenches. That's a whole lot of man on both sides of the ball right there. But yeah, that'll be the key right there. Flipping on the other side, the Eagles, they need Jalen Carter to be Jalen Carter at all times because he is a big physical son of a gun in there, and he can cause problems, big problems inside. So it'll be interesting just to see how much he's able to, because he can single-handedly take over games at times in the game. So, he'll be key. And also I think Nolan Smith will be key, especially, with, Tooney, like I mentioned, for the Chiefs at one of the tackle spots. Give him problems, but it isn't like their other tackle spot is great either. Mr. Taylor, Juwan Taylor, the guy that kind of, I guess skirts a little bit of the rules. He goes to the edge of the rules. I'm not saying he's breaking rules, but, of course, he's going to sit back as far as he can. He's going to try to time that snap up where he can get off and get back to block as well. So, it'll be interesting just to see what kind of pressure and things they put on there. And I will say, with them activating the Eagles, we're activating Brandon Graham. It'll be interesting to see how many plays he's able to get in there as well, and how much his wind is going to be up. Because you can train and all those different things while you're injured. He had a triceps injury, I believe, triceps injury in November, and he has made his way back to the field and has been activated for the Super Bowl. So, while you get activated, things like that, you still have to have the wind to actually play. So it'll be interesting just to see if he has the wind to actually play and have an effect on the game, because I don't expect him to have a ton of plays out there just because he hasn't been out there for a couple months now. But we shall see what happens. And of course, that secondary, there's going to be some plays that Patrick Mahomes is going to make. And Patrick Mahomes is going to give you chances to make interceptions. He has done so this season. It's happened. But when he gives you those chances, you got to make them count. You have to make them count, whether it's a touchdown, whether it's getting deep in territory where you can at least get a field goal out of it, something. You have to make those count. He's going to give you opportunities, but you can't be giving them everything. Like, prime example, when the Eagles played against the Falcons and the Falcons came back and won that game, honestly, the Eagles should have slammed the door shut, but they didn't. And maybe they learned a lesson from that. And it'll be interesting to see what Vic Fangio is able to do in terms of kind of throwing a few things at Mr. Jalen Hurts. I think Zach Bond would be key, whether he be rushing the passer or doing a few other things that he does in his utility type role at linebacker and rushing the passer. So it'll just be interesting just to see what Fangio is able to cook up. And I think, honestly, watching this game, he's going to get a couple of his plays off. That's just who he is and what he does as a defensive coordinator all these years he's been in the NFL. So, but yeah, that's a key thing right there. And just don't let the Chiefs receivers get confidence. Because if you let the Chiefs receivers get confidence, and they start percolating, then that's going to make a long day, because that means that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be out there for long drives. That means the Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to have more time to do his thing out there, and your defense is going to tire out, which is not good for the Eagles at all. No. So, definitely if you want to take account of that, as far as the Eagles. Also, another thing I would say is, if you're going to win the game, if anything has shown you, if this season has shown you anything, it's go ahead and you have to, if you're up on the Chiefs, you have to finish them off. You cannot expect the time to save you, because plenty of times this season, it looked like the Chiefs were out of the game was over, and what happened? It was so close. The Chiefs made the plays to win the game. The opposition did not. You have to beat the Chiefs. Now, some will say, oh, the referees and this, that, and whatever. No. When you're a good team, you win, even if missed calls are happening, things like that, because there's many missed calls. You can probably name 5 or 6 things that somebody on the team that lost did wrong. So you have to go out there and win the game. It's not going, you play to win. You don't play to let the referees or let the time run out. So, hang on to win. No. You take the win. You snatch the win. That's what the Eagles have to do. And in doing that, that means, some plays you're going to be aggressive. And then some plays you're just going to do the thing and want it more than the other team. Now, of course, breaking down a few things there. Hope you enjoyed the breakdown that I gave for the game. As far as the score, now I look at the Eagles. They are the more talented team. They do have the more talented group on offense. Minus of course, Patrick Mahomes, of course, and Travis Kelce. And on defensively, they do have a lot of talent. They have a ton of talent there. However, what I will say is that if time tells you anything, a lot of people don't bet against 15 that's wearing the Kansas City Chiefs uniform. That would be Mr. Patrick Mahomes. So it'll be a close game, but in the end, I do have the Kansas City Chiefs winning and three-peating as they beat the Eagles 27-24. Now, would I mind if the Eagles won the game? No, I would not mind that at all. I would, I'm pretty sure there's a lot that would love for the Eagles to win this game, and and them to celebrate and on Broad Street and all those different places in Philadelphia. However, in this game, I personally just, it's Patrick Mahomes, and in these type of games, he seems to always come through. That's just in his DNA. So again, I've got the Kansas City Chiefs winning the game 27-24 and completing an unprecedented three-peat in NFL history. Let me know what you think, what your thoughts are on my prediction, and of course, the breakdown of the Chiefs versus Eagles Super Bowl. Enjoy watching the game. Remember, if you're driving out, going somewhere, and you're drinking, things like that, call an Uber, call a Lyft, give your keys to your friends. Don't drive drunk. I want to thank you all for tuning in. My name is Mike Patton. Of course, you can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Mike Patton82. That's MikePatton 82. Of course, you can find me that on Blue Sky as well. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at that's THA, not THE, _general_MP. Touring The AFC South on all listening platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we are there. We are also on the Mike Patton Network on YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the game. We're out. Peace.